Hello, I'm Joseph Joestar 316, and I will be running Winback Covert Operations on the Nintendo Switch. I will be running all 31 stages of the main story on easy difficulty. It's going to be the fastest category for any percent. Time will start once I select story on the main menu right here, and my estimate for this run will be 1 hour 45 minutes, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, and...
This way!
Alright. So, Winback originally came out on the Nintendo 64 back in 1999. It's one of the early genres of, third-person, cover-based shooters. It may not have been as well received at the time, especially considering, like I said, it is one of the early cover-based shooters over, let's say, recent titles over the years that have perfected it. But one of the things that makes Winback on the Switch, very pleasant to run is it runs at a very nice, variable, 50 FPS, while the original Winback ran, let's say, at a more, slower 30 FPS. It still plays the same way, but it does make it, very smoother, gameplay. So, we're gonna be trying to avoid and deal with guards only that we need to. And I guess while I'm getting shot up here, I will kind of talk about the main weapons I'll be using throughout the game. The first, which is the most used, is the handgun. It's a 15 bullet magazine capacity. It has infinite ammo, so you don't have to collect ammo for it. Whereas the shotgun and the SMG are close and longer range sub-weapons. You do need to collect ammo for them throughout the game. Which I will be intermixing in these three weapons along with a rocket launcher that I'll be acquiring later. But the pistol is kind of the best of both worlds. It's got good range, reliable ammo, good, damage output. The SMG has the longest lock-on range, 30-round magazine, but the attack power is rather low. Whereas the shotgun is an 8-round shotgun shell capacity with really good up-close damage output, but is very limited in its lock-on range. So it's kind of like a close, medium, and, long-range weapon arsenal, if you would. So throughout the run, I'll be collecting things like magazine clips, shotgun shells, and at times when needed, med kits to restore my life bar. One of the nice things about Winback running it on this difficulty is that your life bar regenerates every time you complete a stage. So you don't have to worry about health management in between stages. So what I'm going to be getting here is a C4 explosive, which is inside this container here. That's going to be used for several skips and an out-of-bounds glitch later in this run. And the unique thing about the laser traps themselves, like I said, is the blue lasers are more sensory type. They either trigger an alarm or they trigger guards. Sometimes they're linked to explosives. Whereas the red lasers are the rather more unforgiving defensive trap. They kill you in one hit no matter where or how you hit it. Same goes for these guards, so it does go both ways. So what I'm going to do here is press that button panel there to get these boxes moving on this conveyor. So it reveals this laser sensor here that I need to disable. So at times you'll be seeing me reload quite a lot. Unfortunately, the guards, through some unique ability of their own, they just never have to reload their weapons, so it is one rather troublesome mechanic that you have to deal with in the game. See? I told you the lasers do go both ways. So what I'm going to do here is the first laser skip, which I have to line up just right. And I did. So to explain what happened is I was able to use my iframes to my advantage by getting shot in the back. Because every time Jean-Luc gets hit, he does gain iframes depending on the animation and how he's hit. But when he's shot in the back, it gives him the most iframe window opportunity to be able to fall through a laser, which by definition in this game is supposed to kill you in one hit. But falling forward allows you to fall through and past the laser, but the distance that you have to be from that laser has to be very precise. Otherwise, the skip will not work. But by doing that laser skip over, let's say, conventionally going another route, does save you quite a bit of time throughout each laser skip, and these guys are not being very nice to me. Alright, so thankfully I had that into account where I'm gonna go for a backup medkit. Alright, so this does take me a little bit out of my way, but at times you do have to kind of be prepared for the unexpected. Alright, so we're gonna be exiting this stage now that we have this key that we obtained in one of these outposts here. Alright, so we're gonna be using the shotgun now to be to help clear the way to this door that we passed by earlier. Okay, that's alright. The first shot was just a test. It was a test round. Okay, take out the last guard. You don't need to, but again, this is just for safety to be able to get to this door. Alright, so on stage 3 is going to be another laser skip coming up. Very similar to what I did in stage 2, followed by the first and only out of bounds glitch. Which is going to be made possible through the C4 that I got earlier, so I'm going to be lining myself up just right. Okay, so I was a little bit off in my position, but that's fine. I do have another opportunity to reattempt this and still be within my estimate. Thankfully, this laser skip throughout the entire game is probably the easiest one to reattempt since it is at the beginning of the stage. Alright, so same thing. We're gonna cancel out of this cutscene. Okay, I'm gonna line myself up. Okay, there we go. That's better. So, like I said, the positioning is very sensitive. So what we're gonna do here is use this Jeep that just conveniently pulled up, plant the C4, go into cover, then we're gonna let go of cover, go and detonate the explosive, and now I'm out of bounds. So I'm gonna be following this perimeter here ever so carefully. And just like that, I'm able to wrap around and gain entry to the next stage. Doing that out of bounds glitch saves you like 3 to 3.5 minutes of what's a lot of backtracking. So this is the first boss fight, Leela. Casually, she is one of the harder bosses early in the game, considering she has a very, I guess a very vocal weapon, let's say, because, I mean, she's just going hog wild with it. Okay, maybe it's not just her weapon that's vocal. But one thing you'll see me do in boss fights throughout this run is use the targeting mechanics against them.
Over here!
Thank you, good sir. Oh, yeah, he was just telling me where the forced cutscene was. The target locking from enemy guards and bosses follow a, like, center mass targeting. So every time they fire and you're moving, the bullets will trail behind you. So you'll see me attack and then evade left or right depending on, you know, where it is I'm fighting them. And what this will do is it'll allow me to get damage in, evade their return fire, and then rinse and repeat until the fight's over. So now we're done with the first 3 stages, which is more or less beginning introductory to Winback. So now we're going to be going through the office facility stages, which is stages 5 through 13, which is going to have a mix of, you know, going through stages, some backtracking, a couple more boss fights. And one thing that I'll be doing quite a lot, you know, other than just, you know, running past guards, obviously, is right here, I'm going to be stunning them by firing around at them. Which, what that does is it allows you to kind of stun lock a guard briefly to be able to, let's say, either get by them, interact with a door, a switch, whatever you need. It's a very convenient way of, you know, contesting a guard without having to commit a full effort of having to neutralize them, because while the game is meant like as a more arcade feel where you're basically taking out nearly every guard you find, in this run we're only going to be taking out the guards we need to, like I said at the beginning. So right here is an example of guards you do need to neutralize. For some reason they were just chilling in that corner. Maybe they didn't hear all the gunfire that was going on. So since they're all grouped up, I'm gonna use the shotgun. Unfortunately, I didn't get all 3 of them together, so it's unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Okay, so kind of covering the story of the game as I commence this series of back traveling and advancing to different parts of this facility. This facility houses a control center which has access to a super weapon satellite known as the Gulf system with a U. And what it basically is it's a super weapon satellite that can destroy anything it targets, which luckily for you as the player, the weapon has a 3-hour charge time, so you don't have to worry about the bad guys going, you know, going too hog wild with it. But we're meant to go through a series of 2 elevators to gain access to the facility, where Jean-Luc either has to be able to reach the express elevator, which is located in the office lower level where I just came from. It gives you direct access to the facility. And then there's a freight elevator, which is in a factory section on the outskirts of this facility. So Jean-Luc is part of a counter-terrorist team which has been split up to try to infiltrate the control center to try to save the day, stop the bad guys. And of course, you know, they don't make things easy, so we have to go through all these hoops just to be able to get to certain places. So what I'm going to do here is there's going to be a fixed encounter coming up, but before I trigger it, I'm going to destroy this wooden box container, which is one of many things you can do to just save yourself time. Normally trying to get through that can be rather troublesome. But by taking it out before you spawn in the guards, you can just essentially run through and just save yourself the headache. Next what I'm going to be doing here is taking out this sensor while still remaining by the door. The thing about doors is they will stay open as long as you're still next to them. So even though you go through them momentarily, if you stay within the doorway that you came from, the door will not shut close until you actually walk away from it, which is very convenient when you want to, you know, when you want to be able to do certain things without having to, let's say, reload a room or reopen a door a second time. Thank you. Yeah, the guards, they can be very helpful in the game. There is a map within the game's menu, but I often joke when I run this game is like, oh, you don't need the map. You just listen to the guards. They just tell you where to go. So what we're gonna do is take out this box while shooting a sensor right in this corner. Now, normally what would happen here is if you cleared your way into that corner, you trigger this blue laser sensor, but by doing it from the outside here, it will not trip that sensor, which would normally spawn in like a group of guards. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is another laser skip, which we're going to be using that guard as our volunteer to help out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to shoot him once, which is going to make him run to that corner. Alright, so now I'm going to try to get in position here. Oh wow, I got it, first try. So, like I did before, and... No! It's okay, he was just demonstrating the deadliness of the laser traps. Man. Such a tragedy. He volunteered to help out, got to skip first try, and he ended up getting, I guess, overexcited about me getting it first try and died to the same trap I avoided. Well, anyways. In our process of trying to, save the day and, find the control center, we have to find these 5 bombs at the terrorist planet throughout the building, which, we're told about it in one of the cutscenes I, skipped. And we're given this, bomb detector, which you see in the upper right corner. And it basically beeps and blinks red, when there's a bomb nearby. Of course, thankfully the bombs are all in the same place every run. It's just a matter of just, memorizing the routing to get there. Alright, so now I'm gonna try to go for another laser skip here, but it's more of a trick shot, which you have to line yourself up just right underneath this gap. And you have to aim at this sensor, which is just located on the other side of this. Trust me, this looks scarier than it is. Okay, so you gotta see this crosshair lock onto it to know it's gonna be a hit. Oh. Okay. There we go. So, I didn't really get it right away, but what that does is it allows you to... to avoid having to go through another room to be able to get around that laser trap and get another cutscene just basically, directing you to, go through this area anyway. Alright, so in all this running, I mean, we need to make a quick pit stop. Not only to, give these guys a pat on the back for doing a good job, but for one, we gotta take out this other laser sensor here, which is gonna give me access to the next bomb. Hey, good job, buddy. Alright, there it is. It's 2 down, 3 left. The funny thing about this game is there's actually some stealth you can do. But in my honest opinion, stealth in Winback is rather an option. It's not really required. But the only thing it does help you with is, if you go up behind a guard and they're unaware that you're there, you could do a karate chop to the back, which will knock them out instantly. But it doesn't get used very often in the game, as you could clearly see. Alright, so they did a bit of redecorating in this room when I was last here. They somehow rigged this, button panel here to set up all these boxes. Of course, we can't have them doing that. Okay, well, if they decide to do it as I leave, that's fine. I just don't want to get caught up in the explosions, because like the lasers, the explosions from a single box won't kill you in one hit, depending on your HP, but multiple explosions in the same area is basically a guaranteed death. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is a C4 skip, which it may not look it, but I'm going to be able to get Jean-Luc to squeeze in between this gap here. So I'm going to try to get in cover. The same thing I did for the Humvee Jeep at the beginning in Stage 3. Run in between this gap. And then once I get it just right, detonate it. And there we go. See, Jean-Luc, I told you you didn't need to lose that weight. You could just squeeze on through. Of course, I mean, like I said, the C4 is really the thing responsible for it, as well as using the cover mechanic itself, because going into cover puts you right up against whatever object it is you're interacting with. And by releasing yourself from cover, in addition to the help of the C4, it's like the tipping point of being able to either go out of bounds or, in this case, clipping between a gap. You know, and doing that C4 skip there saves you probably like 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes of going through part of the sewer section. So we're gonna refill this reservoir with water so we can make our way back. And of course, it wouldn't be Winback without something, you know, arcadey. So we got this mounted turret here. And the game's like, hey man, there's a machine gun, go nuts. It's either that or it's just trying to showcase how high IQ the guards are. You know, when an intruder takes a fortified weapon, you know, they figured, hey, if we got the numbers, we'll just charge right at it. Alright, so again, we're just gonna be staggering certain guards, just enough to get through. And get past these moving lasers. Oh, how nice of this guy to show me where the checkpoint is. Uh-oh. Okay. Maybe he wasn't exactly being compliant. But no worries. Of course, another thing I neglected to mention is depending on what your HP bar is between green, yellow, and red, it actually changes the music. Where green is more like default to the stage, while red and yellow are more like seen as like, you know, very stressful, tense, especially when it's in red bar. And because it's in red bar, I'm actually gonna play this a little safe here. Ooh. Alright, nobody panic. There we go, very nice, Jean-Luc. Yeah, normally in a world record run, you would want to just run through that room, not having to stop for anything, but due to the nature of my health and the fact that there's not nearly as many checkpoints as you would like at times, it's better just to be able to stop and get the medkit. So these guys thinks they got one on me. They trapped me in this room with not only these 3 guards, but there's a tank in the middle of the room, which is filled with poisonous gas if you detonate the explosive boxes next to it. So instead, we're just gonna take out the 2 guards at the lower level. The guy in the back is, I don't know, daydreaming. He's not really paying attention. And we're just going to move on through. Not only will blowing up the tank in the middle start to make you lose HP, but extra guards will spawn in and they'll have gas masks on, so they won't be affected. As we make our way to the stage exit. Alright, so next boss fight will be coming up shortly. But first, just gotta get past these 3 guards. Yep, just passing through, fellas. Alright, so that right there is Tom. He's one of Jean-Luc's counter-terrorist teammates. He's trying to figure out the passcode to one of the elevators. Not the express or freight elevators I was talking about. It's the elevator gaining you access to another elevator. I know, it sounds really clear-cut. Well, anyway, so it's an elevator that gets you access to the express elevator from earlier. So what he's doing is he's trying to figure out the passcode. We're just resuming our search for the bombs while grabbing another C4 explosive. Alright, so I'm gonna stagger this guard on the right, try to squeeze through. And before I go into this room here, we're gonna collect not only this medkit, but this rocket launcher, which, unlike the other 3 weapons I have, it is very limited in ammo. It's only the ammo that you carry with it. So, this is Leon in his snazzy purple jumpsuit, I guess. His main weapon of choice is the shotgun. And what I'm going to be doing here is just confusing the heck out of him by bobbing up and down, not just only enjoying the boss music. But I'm just waiting for his iframes to disappear before I can shoot again. Alright, there's the 3rd bomb. And luckily for us, Jean-Luc wasn't alone in searching for the bombs, as we then find out that Jake and Lisa, who we briefly saw in a cutscene earlier, they found 2 of the other 5 bombs, so we, you know, saved the day from at least the explosives, but we still have work to do trying to stop the bad guys. Oh, nice roll. Hey, wait a minute. I wonder who that was. But then as we come back, no, they got Tom! Man, we were just gone for a minute or 2, and Tom was shot in the back. But it wasn't in vain, because he figured out the passcode, wrote it on the floor with his blood. Oh man, what a tragedy. Tom, we briefly knew you, but you were able to keep this going. Anyways, with the information we have from Tom right before he died, we're gonna now be making our way back to the lower level where the elevator to the elevator was. It's okay, I was just giving that guard a chance. Alright, so this area right here is probably one of the most aggravating to get through personally, because, you know, they just love their laser traps, and I mean absolutely go hog wild with how creative they get with their lasers. So you have like a moving laser that stretches all the way across this rooftop here, followed by another one that you have to disable, which was the first one I turned off. And the funny thing about this laser versus some of the others is you have to be going through at the exact time when it's just above your head, and you have to roll underneath it. It is not enough just to be able to, you know, crab walk underneath it. Because making Jean-Luc roll will lower his profile just enough to be able to safely get through. looks familiar. Well, we're just basically coming down from the roof to, you know, come back through here. And, of course, you know what that means, right? Oh, yeah, it's more guards, but we get to use this thing again. Because they didn't learn the first time. Man, that guy was the only smart one of the bunch. So we're gonna be grabbing some ammo here. As we make our way through back to the elevator. Hey man, good job. Don't worry guys, I got him. I got him. Man, I don't know what they were thinking, but for whatever reason, whenever you come into this room at this point of the game, they always make that one guard scripted to run into that laser trap on the perimeter. It's almost like they forget it's even there. Alright, so we're just taking out one of the three here just to be able to get through. Let's make our way downstairs.
Over there!
Ah, thank you, my man. See? I'm telling you, you don't need a map. You just need these guys. And as you can tell, yep, they redecorated this room again. So they learned their lesson about multiple explosive boxes, so they decided, hey, you know how we're gonna get this guy? 2 different sets of laser traps. Instead than trying to deal with all of that, we're just gonna skip past the first one. Grab this med kit again just for safety. I don't really need it, but it's just for marathon safety. So we're gonna plant an explosive, go into cover, run in between the gap. Yep, just like before. You just squeeze on through. Alright, and that is the end of stage 11. So, this is the next boss fight, Ryan, whose weapon of choice is the submachine gun, as well as grenades, that he'll throw at you from time to time. So, like Leela, I'm just trying to attack him and evade sideways. Leon was the exception because his shotgun has a wider spread, so it makes it rather difficult to try to, you know, do this kind of maneuvering. Alright, Jean-Luc, good job. We stopped the bad guy, that's the express elevator, we'll be able to get through and, you know, save the day. Wait a minute. Wait, what's he doing? Wait, he just armed a grenade. And he's holding it up against the terminal. No! No! Oh, he blew up the panel as he somehow magically disappeared. So now the express elevator is inoperable. I know the feeling, Jean-Luc. I feel for you. So Jean-Luc comes back, gives the rest of his team the bad news about what happened down there. Which is basically saying, you know, hey guys, I was able to stop Ryan, but he blew up the control panel before I could secure the express elevator. So now we have to make our way to the freight elevator, which is outside of this control facility. And again, these guards are helpful. You know, he overheard me say freight elevator, and he was already telling me which way I had to go. Alright, so we're back in the, you know, sewers again. which we're now greeted with one of the many auto-scroller sections, if you would. We're just waiting for these cardboard boxes to kind of slide along the ground, which I don't know how that happens. It's beyond me, but one important thing I always do every run. Gotta draw a smiley face. Gotta keep those spirits up. Okay, so we're making our way up to the ground level again. Gonna extend this bridge. Climb up this ladder. And now we're on the other side of this dual laser trap. See, I think this is probably the third time Jean-Luc has been through this room itself. Hey guys, how's it going? Okay, I guess maybe they were just not paying attention. So now they think they can get very creative by kicking boxes around, except I can use that against them. So what I'm going to do here at this corner, once I actually line up, is I'm only going to take out one of these two guards here. Specifically this one closest to the door, before destroying that box. For some reason, there are certain parts of the game where it will trigger other guards to show up. For example, if you take out those two guards by that door and then make your way over here, it'll actually play a forced cutscene with more guards that spawn in. It's just one of like many little things you can do to save time over the course of the run, trying to avoid like a spawned encounter. Some guards spawn in no matter what, you know, like it's just per the game. But there's some other ones that can be triggered based on like things you do. Okay, just gonna stun him as we make our way out of the office facility. Alright, so that does it for the office stages. Gonna grab this. Again, normally for world record pace, you would not need to collect some of these, but for shotguns, I do try to get them. So what I'm gonna do here is called the factory skip, where we're gonna run to this corner, line up against these barrels a specific way. Okay, and then we're gonna plant a C4 in the ground without moving. And just like before in the sewers, I was able to clip through the set of barrels, which conveniently puts you in this, this perimeter alley, whatever you want to call it. Which normally the devs intended you to go through here to find some collectibles with items of ammo and medkit, but for us, we use that as a shortcut to end the stage. Saves you probably at least like 3 to 4 minutes doing that skip. Hey, didn't I just say they learned a lesson with multiple explosive boxes? Well, apparently they didn't. Alright, that time they were nice to me. Other times when I try to get through that spot, guards in the vicinity will actually not only fire at me, but they'll actually trigger a chain reaction. When one box goes, they all blow up. There are some areas where you can take cover and not die with it. Such as the corner that I took in the routing. And there's also a staircase you can go up on should you be put in that situation. Ah, thank you for guarding this key that was just left here. Now, again, I'm leaving this guard up because it would trigger waves of guards that would come in. So, next boss fight is gonna be Sgt Thunder, who uses a flamethrower. I know, what an oxymoron, right? So, we're just gonna be doing the same thing that we do to all the other bosses by attacking him, evading his attack, or trying to evade his attack. As he just runs about the room trying to get after you. Yep, that was a very dramatic end to Sgt Thunder. We barely knew him, but I don't know. Maybe it's just misunderstood. Oh, how nice of that guy to keep the door open so I can use this terminal.
Free.
Yes, it is free. So what that's gonna do is it's gonna initiate the power in that room. It was turned off when the fight was over. So we just turned the power back on to the gondolas that are that were operating during that fight when the guards were using them to attack me. Alright, so what I'm gonna do here is take out a few of these guards while these two come in from the rooftop across the way. Alright, and then I'm gonna stay right here while I aim at this laser sensor in the distance. It may be hard to see, but it is right there. Actually, I gotta move over a little bit. So we're gonna take a shot. There we go. Earlier I said with laser sensors you need to be able to see the crosshair light up in order for it to be destroyed, but there are exceptions where you don't really need to see it visibly, but you could still destroy it if you're locked onto it. So normally this room you'd have to go across this gondola several times and it's a lot of backtracking, so instead we're gonna lean up against this wall and cover, aim off to the right, ever so carefully. Then we're gonna shoot that sensor, which turns off the circuitry to this door so we can open it safely, grab this key. Man, they just seem to leave these keys lying around. It's, I don't know, very careless of them. And we're gonna now use the gondola just to get across the room. Doing that trick shot on that sensor along that wall saves you from having to go through this section several times, which is going across once, then back over, destroy the sensor, grab the key, and then back through this gondola, what would be a third trip to get out of this stage. Oh yeah, I'm just demonstrating how forgetful these guys are as I play a game of whack-a-mole. What were we aiming at? I swear I saw someone in there. Yeah, like I said, they're not terribly bright. Alright, so I just destroyed a container, which, you know, blocks access to this door. Alright, so what I'm gonna do in here is run up against this metal container while aiming the camera off to the side in a specific manner. And what I'm gonna try to do here is grab this ladder that's on the other side of it. So, like, I'm waiting for, like, a little window to show up on the ladder where it shows, like, an interaction. And if you get it just right, you can actually get Jean-Luc to grab onto it from here. Let me try it again. Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's a very, very small gap where Jean-Luc is just close enough to the ladder to be able to interact with it. And the trick of it is you have to run forward while aiming the camera on an angle in order to actually get that little interact window to appear. And it's only there briefly, so you're basically trying to run and then spam, you know, to touch it. Alright, so I believe there's a guard right at this exit here. Oh, thank you, my man. He was saying checkpoint over there. So grabbing that ladder like I did just saves you about probably around like a minute to a minute and a half of having to do some moving throughout the room and some backtracking to be able to get to this point. Again. But if done quickly, it does save you a lot of time over not doing it. So we can't leave the stage just yet because there's an electric current on the door that actually lets you leave. So we're trying to reset, or not trying to reset, but we're trying to move some of these boxes around in order for us to gain access to the rooftop where the sensor is. So this is probably one of the several forced backtracking, as I would call it. You know, like there's some areas where you could either skip it, you can bypass it partially, or in this case, we're trying to, you know, cut the time a little bit while still having to go through this rooftop to where the sensor actually is located. So we just gotta go up to this upper level very briefly. I may or may not get hit. And the sensor is right here. Alright, so with the sensor down, we can actually leave the stage now, which we have to, you know, go back the way we came in. Alright, that's very nice of that guy to move out of the way for me. And now we're making our way to that ladder in the corner of the room, which will actually gets us to the stage exit. Nice headshot. Alright, so fun fact, those two guards spawn in that late because I skipped climbing up part of the conveyor belts from earlier when I did that ladder grab. Otherwise, normally you would just run back through that factory room with just, you know, no guards in it still. Okay. So we're done with that one. Gonna go across this bridge, overlooking two guards patrolling down below. It's like, good job. Hey, you there with the shotgun. Good job. So what I'm gonna do here is use their own barrels against them. They'll just blow up in a domino chain, taking out all the guards nearby. Okay, then those two will still be there as we make our way to the next rooftop. Good job. Hey, the guards need a little bit of appreciation now and then. Okay, except this guy. I don't know, he just gets in the way. Alright, that is stage 19. Alright, so we're about 2/3 of the way done with the game. And about 2 or 3 stages from ending the factory section itself. Okay, maybe that was a little bit of bad form shooting him in the back, but the other guy kind of had something to say about it. So one thing I'm gonna do is blow up this box down on that lower level there. It's mainly for safety when I try to get through there again later.
Over there!
Alright, so I have to disable this blocking mechanism in order to get access to that control room up there. As we evade all the incoming fire. Okay, that was not the weapon I wanted to reload, but that's okay. There is another magazine in here. Funny thing about the SMG is it allows you to reload and replace the magazine regardless of what ammo is left in it. So in this case, I actually just wasted a magazine by reloading. I don't know why they left it in the game the way it is, but it is an actual thing, so do tread lightly when it comes to reloading. At least when it's not the pistol. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna crouch underneath that container, which, if done correctly, you can get through this room in one cycle. Meaning when all the containers are lifting up and down, you can get through in one go, you don't have to wait. And we're done with this room. Alright, so for this stage, we're going to the next boss fight. Which, as you can guess, you know, they're not gonna make things easy. Okay, maybe that guy made it easy by shooting that barrel, which doesn't always happen. You know, I do have it routed where I could just run through without having to stop. But hey, maybe sometimes the guards can just give me a break now and then. However, because I did get it, I'm gonna grab this kit just for safety. So the next fight is against Duke. Now, not Duke Nukem, it's, I don't know, some guy named Duke uses a minigun, kind of resembles a boss from another game series. Kind of reminds me of Vulcan Raven a little bit from Metal Gear Solid 1. But just like all the others, you can do the same evasion and, you know, baiting maneuver where you just attack them, dodge the gunfire, do it again. You know, maybe his name is really Mo. You know, in his last moment where it's Mo. Yeah. Well, anyways, that was Duke. You know, and of course his weapon of choice, if you didn't catch it, was the minigun. Behaves similarly to Leela, where they just go hog wild with it, but, you know, thankfully due to Thankfully, due to the locking, the target locking, the bullets will just trail behind you as long as you keep moving. Alright, so we're trying to make our way to the rail yard, which is one of the areas leading up to where the freight elevator is. And what I'm going to do here is use this C4 to blow up these boxes. And then as I do that, I'm going to collect some more shotgun shells. Yep, it's the gift that keeps on giving. More laser traps. Of course, you gotta be very careful when you go through here, because, you know, they will kill you even if a guard hits you with gunfire and you just happen to stumble into a laser. Alright, so first thing I'm gonna do is clear that barricade by blowing up that box. As I take out these guards. Fun fact, there's a really high risk skip you can do here where that laser is. But due to the way I came in, it's very dependent on getting here quickly enough to where one of the guards is there to be able to shoot you in the back at the right spot. It does save a lot of time if you get it, but unfortunately if you don't, it is often considered a run killer, should you attempt it and fail. But for the purpose of this submission video, I opted out for, you know, consistency. Normally, a situation like this, you'd be thinking, man, how am I gonna get across that? Well, that guard's gonna get across it by one of the boxes pushing them into a laser, while I just run past these three. Alright, so grab some more medkit and explosives.
Over there!
As we try to take out these guards blocking this ladder. Alright, so we finally arrived at the rail yard. You know, or rather on the other side of the fence line where the rail yard is. So, the stage exit is that door in the back, which is guarded by electric circuit on a sensor on top of that container there. And we have to go up to that window to get the right angle to be able to fire at it. So I'm gonna let that guard get a little bit closer, blow up that box to get all three of them. Okay, and then I intentionally replaced that magazine so I can grab these two. So I have a, you know, full round of ammo. Thank you. See, again, you know, just... You don't need a guide, you don't need any, you know, tutorials or YouTube videos. Like, ours just tell you where to go. They're that helpful when they want to be. Alright, I'm actually gonna take this guy out. So, there's the sensor. Alright, now we can leave. As we go through what I often call in my run the Monka S rush, which is basically you running from gunfire coming at you every which way to a door at the very end of running back here. Okay, all I gotta do is just get to the door, try to open it, and there we go. So getting shot while opening the door is often a good thing, as you just saw, where you'll get part of an animation cancel, where the door will still open, but Jean-Luc's opening animation will get interrupted, and you can still go through the door as long as you're close enough to it. So, thankfully, these guys showed me mercy this time. I've had runs where I get blocked continuously trying to open that door, and I'm unable to leave, and oftentimes it's a run killer itself. They might have got me this time, except I'm gonna lure that turret to move over, and then through Jean-Luc's athletic ability of being able to run fast, I can just run past the turret fire. I don't know, man. You gotta give the guards some points for some creativity, but you also look at it, it's like, I don't know, maybe they hired the wrong bunch of guys to guard this place. Or who knows, maybe Jean-Luc is just too fast for him. It could be a mixture of things. Alright, so there's the parking garage where the freight elevator is located. Okay, before we do that, we're gonna actually get the pistol out. Get into cover, we're gonna aim at this guard. Take out its box. We'll leave the other 3 up since we don't need to do anything. And then we just run down through here to the freight elevator. Ooh, very nice dodge there. Ah, there it is. The freight elevator. And you guessed it. Yep, another boss fight. So this is Gunt, who his weapon of choice is a rocket launcher with homing missiles. Thankfully his attack pattern is exploitable, where you just evade from left or right, since his missiles will track as he's using it from right to left. So, again, casually, it would be a very difficult boss fight to get through for the first time, but since his attack behavior is very consistent and exploitable, you can just rinse and repeat. Hey, thank you for the raid, King of the Bees. For those coming in, I'm doing my SGDQ submission for Winback. So we finally arrived at the control center now. And before I do anything else, I'm going to try to aim at this guard up there with this. Of course, he's not being nice to me. Alright, so I didn't get the guy next to him. Sometimes you can get 2 of them at once with 1 rocket. So I'm just gonna have to do a backup where I just shoot this guy manually. What I'm doing there is trying to make it so that they won't close this door, which also has a forced cutscene showing them operating the terminal for that door. It's really weird on the N64 version of Winback, whereas on PS2, there's a different way to be able to get through there that doesn't require you to have to take out the guards in that way. But it just saves you having to go around a different room to rejoin here. Alright, just making our way through. Then we gotta touch this door to get a checkpoint. Alright, so we're gonna operate this computer terminal here to get this bridge moved across the room. So we could take out a laser sensor for a trap. Alright, so these doors behave in the same manner as all other doors throughout the game, where they will stay open as long as you're nearby. You know, which again just comes in real handy for trying to make, you know, precision shots without having to reopen the door a second time. Oh yeah, that's right, I'm full of magazine clips. Alright, so there's the sensor, which I took the sensor out for. Yo, wanna see something cool? Do flip! Okay, maybe it's just a little shy. Guys in that outfit, as well as when they use pistols, for some reason, when you take them out, they can often do a backflip when you shoot them. So, I don't know, maybe it was just submission video shy or something. I will try to get another guard to do that, but like I said, it's only specific types. It may have been hard to hear, but they are still trying to tell me where to go amongst this gunfire. Look, he even got an arrow. Of course, it's just there by coincidence. Alright, so we're gonna go in here. Guards. Although, another fun fact is sometimes when you loaded a room such as this, normally guards would spawn in like you just saw here, but there's other times, depending on how it is you enter the room, it actually won't spawn the guards at all. I can't really speak for what actually does this, but it's just something about the game where, you know, like whatever frame it is you enter the room on, or if there's certain guards up over others, it's really unknown to me as to what causes it, but it's known that, like, it is a thing, you know, and it's only specific parts of the game where this can happen. It's not like a random thing throughout the entire run, at least from what I've seen. It's just one of the weird anomalies of Winback, I suppose. So what I'm gonna do here is trigger this guard encounter on purpose. Normally, you're meant to go in this direction first. It's something I found on accident one run where I went the wrong way, triggered those guards to show up, and for some reason, if you trigger that encounter first and then come back through here second, it will make it so that when you return, those guards on the upper conveyor, they will no longer be there. You know, so it's a very convenient way of avoiding what would be seen like as another, like, fixed encounter. So as you can see, the guards aren't there anymore.
Over here!
Okay, maybe those two are just saying, hey, what about us?
Over here!
Yep, I know you're there. Excuse me, I gotta get up here. Alright, so as you can see, those two that were in that conveyor are gone. You know, the real convenient thing about doing this, like, you know, I guess, like, early encounter trigger is when you come back through here, you wouldn't have to worry about those two guards, like, shooting you from across the way when you have to make your way through here. Alright, we're just gonna take cover in here while this container set moves forward. Take out these three guards. Alright, now we have access to this button panel, so we can open this door. Take out these 3 guards. As well as these 2 that spawn in. So normally this would be a very aggravating back traveling to be able to clear this turret out, but instead we're gonna use the rocket launcher to take him out. Doing that saves you probably like again another 2.5 to like 2.5 to 3 minutes. Maybe closer to 2 to 2.5 minutes. It's a lot of like backtracking, fighting guards, then you have to go back, fight more guards that spawn in, then wait for a crane to drop a container on top of that turret barricade. It just saves you a really aggravating section, in my opinion. Hey, there's a backflip. See, I told you I'd try to get one. Doesn't really matter, but it's for style points. Alright, so again, we're just running through. So we can grab this checkpoint here. Or actually, no, I'm sorry. It's a checkpoint on PS2 Winback. On N64 Winback, there's not as many. But there still are checkpoints. Oh, not bad for free aiming when the camera is not working with you. Alright, now again, I'm just clearing these guys out for safety. You don't need to. But what I'm gonna do here is try to get across this gap. Okay, unfortunately I didn't get to the ladder, but that's fine. I was still able to cross the corner before the container sealed it off. If you're really quick, you can actually make it across all the way through and reach that ladder that's on the other end of it, without having to go around the next room like this. You know, it's not the end of the world, it just saves you like 40 seconds if you get it first try. Okay, so we finally arrived at this specific terminal, which unlocks not only that door, but the door that actually lets me exit this stage, which is what seems like one of the longer stages. It's probably like the second to third of the lengthy stages in this game.
Over here!
Which will now let us exit stage 25 and we go on to the next boss fight. One of my personal favorites, Banderas. Not only for his dual-wield weapon set of submachine guns, but the fact that they say, hey, you like explosives, you like sensor lasers, well, so do we. Except, we're just gonna roll underneath the first set, so I don't trigger the barrels rigged to blow up. But the guards that spawn in at 50% of this guy's health, they will trigger it for me. And I just do the same thing I did to the others. I love his dialogue, by the way. Oh yeah, and his weird, like, war cry as he's dying. It's Winback. You gotta just go with it. On PS2 Winback, they added voice acting, whereas N64 Winback is primarily text. You know, with the exception of the guards. So on PS2 Winback, when they dubbed that cutscene, among many others, it's really hilarious, especially that one from Banderas. So what we're doing now is we have to, once again, backtrack. Except this time, we're trying to gain access to a terminal that powers up a elevator. It'll power up an elevator that'll let us get to the last part of the game. Excuse me.
Over there!
Alright, so we're just running back through here. Alright, so in a sense, we're kind of running back to what was the beginning of stage 24. Yep, lasers still kill you in one hit. And of course, they changed this room. You know, they heard that I liked lasers, so they decided to add more of them.
Over there!
I don't know, maybe the guy was listening to some tunes or something, he just didn't hear me running down the hallway. Or the guy screaming over there. So we're moving over this bridge again. And then while we wait, I'm just gonna do this for the heck of it. You know, since it is a, you know, cover shooter, even though I rarely ever use the cover itself other than for doing skips. It's always nice to be able to show off things you can actually do in the game from time to time. Oh, but wait a minute, they used that bridge against me. While I used the explosives against them, except that guy who's apparently a tank. Excuse me, sir. I'd like to have a word with you about operating this thing while I'm on it. Yeah, it's just a scripted thing. You know, when you first come back in here, they'll move that bridge on you as like a way to try to trap you. So, like I did the first time around, it's going to be taking out a sensor, except it's going to be in this room here. Behind that box, while conveniently destroying that one so I get access to a medical kit should I need it. Can't really tell if I'm hitting him. Okay, there he is. Yeah, sniping with the laser sight at that distance isn't exactly ideal, but it is doable. Alright, so we're now making our way back through the excessively outrageous laser room. Grab these other magazine clips in here. And then he's gonna say, stop! Alright, so remember when I said that Banderas is one of my favorite boss fights, which is still true? This guy coming up is really my favorite. Fun fact, you only get this boss fight when you do the good ending of Winback, which is basically beating the game while reaching the control center in less than 3 hours, which this is Jin. His weapon of choice is not only his really agile speed, a pistol, but he also throws explosive darts at you while laughing maniacally, which I can try to get him to do that. There it is. Man, his death was so gruesome the game couldn't even show it. Or just, you know, the camera getting blocked. But yeah, there's actually 2 different endings of Winback. There's a supposed third, but I don't have anything to confirm what it actually is. But the 2 endings is basically good and bad. Good is where you reach the control center within 3 hours of the endgame timer. Bad ending is when you fail to reach it within that time frame and you allow the bad guys to fire off the Gulf satellite weapon more than once. Which basically all that changes is what certain boss fights you deal with at the end of the game, as well as some of your teammates that either live or die. But by convenience, speedrunning the game, you know, automatically, like, incentivizes you for the good ending. There's really no good way of triggering the bad ending other than just, you know, letting the game run for 3 hours. Watch the bad guys fire the weapon in a cutscene or 2. So it's not very practical in a single run to try to go for a bad ending. Alright, so we reactivated the elevator, which is right here, this, you know, really spacious room. So we powered up that elevator so we can get to the final part of the game. And we're just making our way back through here. Except this time, we're gonna go into this section first. Which we're gonna say good job to this guy. Use this terminal to turn on the power in that labyrinth we were in. And then operating this button panel to lift up a container so we can actually get through to where the elevator shaft is. Alright, so I'm gonna grab this ammo for safety. Alright, so we're gonna come back through here. Okay, that's fine. Oh, we ducked. Alright, so we're gonna do this again. Except we won't be going to the same, like, endpoint we were before. And again, due to my lack of HP, I'm just gonna take this a little bit safe. Whoa! Okay, that's not the weapon I was trying to use. Okay, there we go. I mean, you can use the rocket launcher, it's just a little bit overkill. So, same thing, we're gonna move these containers over, grab this med kit, cut through before it closes off. So, the last time we were in here, we went off into this room and off to the right. Instead, we're gonna go off to the left, which was made possible by lifting up that container I did earlier. Thank you. Excuse me. Okay, gonna take out those 2, followed by these others. Come on. Sometimes opening doors can be a little finicky, especially when you're being shot at. Okay, that hurt. Alright, there we go. That's just a little closer than I would like to make it, trying to get through here. So we're gonna do, after dealing with those guards, is just run through these next series of rooms. The same area where we fought Banderas earlier. Once that door opens, we just run through before it closes. And then we go up the elevator that we just turned on. Okay. Yeah, sometimes trying to get up to here could be a little stressful. Especially when your health gets pushed down to dangerously low. Alright, so the next boss fight, like Jin, is gonna be when you get the good ending. You know, he's not nearly as hilarious as Jin. But he is a bit cool looking. Once we actually get to him in just a little bit here. Another flip. Alright, so before we actually get to fight him, we're gonna have to clear out these two guards first. You know, mainly just for being an annoyance. So that in the corner is Death Mask. He's not overly bright because he hid behind, I don't know, a bunch of explosive barrels. But his weapon of choice are dual pistols. Kind of weird, it's like this weird armor set. Man, guy sounds like he saw a ghost or something. But yeah, so just like all the other bosses, you just do the same thing. Alright, so we're on stage 30, which is one of the last stages right before two boss fights, and it's probably one of the longest stages in the game. It's definitely not favored in the speedrun, since not only because of how long it is, but you know, how unforgiving it is at times. Especially if you go for high-level skips. You know, even just playing through the game casually, I mean, I think really the only time I like stage 30 is when I'm done with it.
Over here!
You know, let's just put it that way. Alright, so while that guy tries to make up his mind which way he's running, Shutter's gonna lift up behind me so I can shoot it out. Disable the lasers. We're gonna take out these two so I can operate. So I can operate this terminal safely. Otherwise, you'll just get shot at trying to use it. Okay, I didn't mean to use my gun, but might as well. Yes, that was a free medkit. Okay, that was sick. Not something you see every day. Back-to-back headshots like that. Alright, this room right here, I just often refer like as a debate medkit. I mean, with all these guys coming down here like that, and with that medkit being in the middle of the room, so exposed, it's almost like, here's a medkit, good luck.
Over here!
You know, good luck trying to get it, sort of a thing. Okay, just gonna run past those three.
Over there! Freeze!
While they kindly give me directions. Okay, they're not being nice. Okay, so we're gonna grab this ammo. So we're on the upper level of the debate and medkit room. So what I'm doing here is just stunning that one guard so I can run through here. And this is gonna be a little risky. Okay, so we're all right. So in this next room here, you know, they figured, hey, you liked one turret? Well, we're gonna give you 2 set of turret barricades, conveniently with explosive barrels right next to them. So while we do with the guards roaming around here, I'll show you a very convenient way of being able to get through, even with the turret setup they have. So right over there, there's a gap. Which, first off, I'm gonna grab this medkit should something happen. So we're gonna run up to this container here, just outside of turret range. You're gonna take a peek, aim at the gap. Yeah, clearly someone didn't think this out, putting explosive barrels right next to a defensive barricade. If you get really lucky, you can actually aim at that gap from when you enter the room when you use the shotgun with the bullet spread. But ideally, you can just go up as close as you can to that container and then just shoot in between safely. Whoa, okay, not the right weapon. Okay, that guy got a little too close for comfort. Alright, then I'm just gonna shoot at these barrels here so it can take out 2 of the 3. Normally they would... Of course I run out of ammo at the wrong time. Normally what they would do is they would activate this, this crane, to move the barrels over to where you are, and then they'll drop them on you. Alright, so this right here is probably one of the most frustrating rooms to get through if you don't use this rocket launcher on that turret right there. Because it is next to impossible to try to rush through here without taking out this turret first. Alright, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shoot these 2 guards in the distance first. because more guards will spawn in the closer I get to this corner. So like once I cross over here, you can see guards on the floor as well as 2 more that show up from the rear. I don't know, it's just one of the weird things of the game where you can actually attack the guards like outside of a trigger while avoiding others. Okay, so we're coming up to this section, which I refer to as the laser and shutter rooms because, well, you got lasers and you got shutters. And of course you got guards, but I mean, that should already be established at this point. So we're just opening and closing a series of these so we can get through, while also disabling a sensor. Okay, take out those 2. Shoot that guard, as well as the guard in here. There's also a high-level skip you could do here for a laser skip. It would involve using one of these 2 guards that just got to shoot you like along this wall to skip that laser right there. It is very costly should you go for it and fail it, due to the nature that the checkpoint puts you at the beginning of this room. But it does save you a couple of minutes should you get it. Okay, so we're gonna take out those 2 guards, and we're gonna shoot this sensor in this corner. Okay, it's a little scary, as you can imagine, because you got this laser moving in on you. Which, the funny thing is, you have to put yourself in harm's way to be able to get at the right angle. Target the sensor just before the laser closes in on you again. Again, just demonstrating how unforgiving lasers are. Alright, so once I cross these boxes here, it's gonna spawn in these 3 guards. And then we go into this room.
Over there!
Okay, just gonna take out these guards, plus 2 more. Yeah, the shotgun, like I said, I only prefer to use it at certain points, just due to how absurd the spread pattern is. But, oh hey, look at this elevator. Did you know that that's actually the express elevator right there? Because if it wasn't sabotaged, we can actually go right to the end of the game. So, we're on stage 31, where we have to fight 2 boss fights here. One is Commander Dan, the leader of the counter-terrorist team that we're a part of. So we're gonna use these barrels to our advantage here to deal the most damage, while we aim at his head for the last few, as we enjoy the awesome music of Winback. Ah, lice. Actually hit each other. Alright, so normally there's a moment where I would sit back and watch the cutscene play out part of the way. Although, personally, it's better on the PS2 version of Winback because it's voice acted. But it's basically the commander revealing why he betrayed the team and what his role in all this is. So now we're fighting the terrorist leader, Cecile, who is also very resilient to fight, except his weakness is these turrets, and that is time. Ugh. No, Cecile, you are not invincible to gunfire. Cecile's the terrorist leader, who I often joke is like a discount Liquid Snake from Metal Gear Solid 1 due to his appearance and, you know, the hair color style. So basically, we saved the day, stopped the bad guys, gained control of the Gulf Center facility, which we then decide to destroy the satellite just due to its dangerous nature, and figured, you know, it's just too powerful for anyone to have possession of it, especially if it falls into the wrong hands again. So Jean-Luc, along with Lisa and Keith, the survivors of the counter-terrorist team, will ride off into the sunset in the helicopter. And then we just pat ourselves on the back for a mission accomplished. There we go. Alright, so I'm just gonna skip the rest of the credits so you can get the final scorecard. Again, it's timed in RTA due to the fact that it's a full run of all 31 stages. However, the IGT does track it, as you can see here. So I hope you enjoyed Winback. It is a very interesting run to do, especially if you want to revisit classic games, at least that I played growing up. It's on the Nintendo Switch, part of the Nintendo Switch Online library package. There's also the PS2 Winback, done a couple years later, which I also happen to speedrun that version as well. Hopefully you take this run into consideration, and I hope to all that watched it, as well as this video, I hope you enjoyed it.